I got Peanut right here. Pause on that because he is nowhere near my, just because I said right here and he's not. He's like, he's right, he's underneath me. Like, I'm gonna stop talking about that. That's weird. I got this. You already know how it goes. I hope y'all ready to go. Fresh out the microwave. I don't know why I thought about that. Buttery, extra buttery. I mean, if you're gonna eat popcorn, you might as well do it right. Right? Taste test. Okay. Alright, now we in business. Let's go.
I live on Vancouver Island on the west coast of Canada.
Right.
In the early 90s, a kid was abducted from a park in my neighborhood, and it quickly became a very high-profile case, and it still is today. I was around 3 years old when this happened, and my dad would have been 25-ish, only a few years into his career as a police officer. The missing kid part will come into play a little bit later.
Okay.
But it's important to know that this was going on when the events of this story were happening. My dad and his partner were on patrol one night, and they had a camera guy with them who was on a ride-along to film some shitty Canadian version of Cops or something.
Right.
I don't think that this ever actually aired, for reasons that will become obvious. It was unusual to allow someone along with a camera, and nowadays this would probably never happen. It was an otherwise quiet night, and as they were driving around, my dad spots this work van that belonged to a guy named Peter Hogben.
Nope.
My dad had pulled Hogben over before several times. The most recent being a few days prior because Hogben's insurance was expired. At that time, Hogben had a dead chicken hanging from his rearview mirror.
What the fuck?
This was really weird and very creepy, but not illegal. My dad let him off with a warning and told Hogben to get insurance or the next time that he saw him, the van would be getting towed. So my dad and his partner see this van and my dad gets dispatched to run it. And it comes back still without insurance, so they throw on the lights and pull Hogben over. Meanwhile, the cameraman is still filming all of this. They get out of the car and Hogben is pissed. He's yelling, eyes bugging out of his head, getting in my dad and his partner's space, probably veins bulging out of his neck, all of that. My dad explains that since he has no insurance that they were towing his vehicle. My dad said he remembers thinking Hogben was going to attack them, so they both had their hands on their holsters in case they needed to draw. Police shootings here are extremely rare, and in the 90s even more so. So the fact that they even felt it necessary to be ready to draw their sidearm shows how intense the situation was. While Hogben didn't end up attacking either my dad, his partner, or the cameraman, he did end up going full-on Hulk on the dash of his van, basically ripping it apart with his bare hands and losing his entire mind.
Oh my god.
These days, he'd probably be taken into custody based on that, but again, this was the early 90s.
Custody?
So while this was crazy and scary, it wasn't illegal. He shit-kicked his own car for a bit, tore out parts of the dashboard, and then, preternaturally, just calmed the fuck down. And then asked if he could get the tools from the back of his van, as he was a construction worker and needed them for his job the next day. My dad and his partner said that he could, so...
That was weird. I don't know if I would trust him. The guy that just went insane and just calmed down, like, he just wasn't going insane. You can't trust people like that. You can't trust crazy people, you know? You know, if I was there for some odd reason, if I was a police officer, right, and I was in that situation, right, and I had like 2 or 3 other, partners with me at the time, I'm going to be like, because I'm not going to shoot him, be like, Adam, fuck you. Sam, go ahead and shoot this motherfucker, please. Dead. Before he's crazy. What you mean? I don't need your input. What the fuck? Just shut the fuck up. Adam, I'm gonna fucking hit you in your face. I must. Somebody get Adam. Lock him up. But that's all I'm saying, though. You can't take a chance on crazy people. Been there, done that.
He grabbed an axe and his tool belt, which included a hammer and some other stuff, and off he walked into the night. As he walked away, my dad's partner said, "Jesus, man, he looks mad enough to kill someone."
See?
The entire incident was caught on camera by their ride-along camera guy. They towed Hogbin's van and their night went on as usual. Which is to say that nobody lost their shit and destroyed the dash of their own vehicles. The next night was their second night shift. They went to briefing, which is like a meeting before you begin your shift so that you know if you need to look out for anything specifically or if you need to do curfew checks on people who are under conditions after being released from jail and that kind of thing.
Okay.
When they get there, they hear the news that a woman was beaten to death the night prior and found in the early morning.
God damn.
And that if they have anyone they suspect or any files they think are related, that they should let their sergeant know so he could pass it on to detectives. My dad said he and his partner just looked at each other and then raised their hands to say, "I think we know who did this." Hogbin was arrested very quickly after. Turns out, he was in fact pissed enough to kill someone.
Sure the fuck, see?
He initially followed another woman, but she managed to get into her house without Hogbin actually doing anything to her, aside from scaring the shit out of her by stalking her. The woman he did kill was completely random. He beat her to death with the blunt end of his axe where her blood and DNA were found. The evidence that convicted him was overwhelming. Okay, so here's the part where the missing kid comes into play. The FBI's behavioral unit was here to assist on creating a profile on who may have abducted the kid. They caught wind of the Hogbin file and that the entire incident preceding the murder where Hogbin was pulled over was caught on tape. They immediately demanded to see the tape, and when they did, they explained that it is extremely rare to capture the moment when a psychopath snaps and decides to kill someone on video, and that they wanted to take the video back to Quantico for training purposes so that they can show recruits what it looks like when someone makes that decision. So my dad and his partner are in a video used for training in the FBI. My dad has said he thinks his former partner carries a lot of guilt for this case because of the remark he made about Hogbin being angry enough to kill someone. I'm of the opinion it wasn't anybody's fault, and since that happened, people are able to be arrested for that kind of behavior. They were also both still rookie cops, and within that situation, they did everything right in a by-the-book sense.
Okay.
They didn't have the grounds to arrest Hogbin then. But I still understand why he'd feel so fucked up about it. In case you're wondering what happened with the missing kid, he's still missing. The FBI unit couldn't reach a full consensus on whether a family member or a stranger abducted him. The kid's name is Michael Dunahee, and if you're from Canada, you've likely heard of him. He became the cautionary tale our parents told us about talking to strangers. His absence permeated the childhood of my friends and I, to the point where we once found some deer bones and were convinced we found Michael's remains.
Can't trust motherfucking crazy people. I don't got no friends that are crazy.
My mom has been a police officer for 2 years, and she was recently put on FTO for the patrol division a few months ago. For those of you that don't know what FTO is, it stands for Field Training Officer. Essentially, when a cop switches from one team to another, they're paired with an FTO who teaches them all about how to do their job in the new division. My mom moved from working in the jail to working on the patrol team. Now, what a lot of people don't realize is that patrol is an extremely dangerous division to be a part of.
What?
On patrol, a cop is out there by themselves with no idea of what they might face. In my mom's case, she had one other person with her, which is a little safer, but not by much. On patrol, a backup car could be miles away, which puts the officer in an extremely dangerous and vulnerable position should anything bad happen on the road. What you should know is that the county I live in is known for being one of the safest, most cop-friendly counties in the U.S.
Bullshit.
You would think that they gave my mom and her FTO some kind of advantage over the bad guys. Yeah, you would think. On September 2nd, my mom and her FTO received a call that there was a suicidal man with a gun who was holding up in his house. They raced over to the scene and parked the car several yards from the house, as was customary of arriving on any scene. This guy lived in a semi-rural part of town where houses were spread a little bit apart. This rural-ish neighborhood backs up to a middle and elementary school on one side, and there's also a hospital and a daycare just behind the schools.
Wow.
Which will be important later.
Yeah?
Anyway, my mom and her training officer exit the car and begin to approach the house to contact this armed, suicidal man. The two stopped dead in their tracks when they heard a gunshot being fired off right at them. My mom and her FTO scrambled to get behind the doors of the patrol car and frantically radio for backup. My mom's FTO quickly pulls out his rifle for better defense. Several other cars rush to the scene just as the guy charges out of the house, firing shots off at random. Bang, one shot. Seconds later, several more are fired off in the direction of the officers. They begin firing just as a strange sound grabs everyone's attention. A school bell. Shit, school just ended for about 1,000 middle school students, who would soon be gathering in buses, cars, and worst yet, walking home. The suspect heard the school bell too and quickly rushed into his RV, driving off in the direction of the school. All the while, this asshole is firing off shots at the officers. As officers chase after him, attempting to cut him off, shoot out his tires, anything, a haunting call comes over the radio.
Officer down.
Everyone at the call had no time to lose. They had to keep going and chase down the perp. They had to make sure he didn't get the chance to get to those middle school students. People were frantic, asking questions and looking for answers which no one knew. Holy shit, who's hit? Are they alive? Did anyone else get hit? Suddenly, someone cried out that it was my mom who got hit.
Damn.
Within minutes, I got dozens of texts asking if I knew what was going on, if I was okay, and some just informing me that my mom was shot. At the time, I was at work with no knowledge that any of this was happening. I stepped into the hall after receiving multiple text messages. I fell to my knees. My mom was shot. She was dead or dying. I could feel myself break. This fucker killed my mom. Moments later, everyone got word that the threat had been eliminated. One of the officers shot the guy through the window of his RV just as he entered the hospital parking lot. There was still no word of what was happening to my mom. I was panicking. She's dead, I thought. Suddenly, I felt my phone buzz once again. I checked it with tears in my eyes. It read,
"Hey, I don't know what you heard, but I'm okay. I wasn't the one that got shot."
My heart fell, but this time in relief. What had happened was that one of my mom's former co-workers in the jail had been listening in on the shooting situation and had heard that my mom was first on the scene and then later heard that someone was shot. In his shock, he put two and two together and assumed that the one that was shot was my mom. However, a SWAT deputy who arrived with the impact team had attempted to eliminate the threat and keep him away from the middle school students. The suspect brutally shot the SWAT deputy point blank in the chest with an AK-47 round.
Wow.
The deputy was rushed off to the hospital. He was dead when they got him off the ground and into the ambulance.
There you go. Yeah.
Using electric shock therapy, they brought him back to life, but moments later his heart stopped again. At the hospital, they shocked him again for several minutes before he came back to life. And after being rushed into emergency trauma surgery, his heart stopped again. At this point, the doctor literally held his heart in his hands and was squeezing his heart by hand to get it to begin beating again. After several surgeries, the deputy survived. He lost a lot of blood, brain cells, and body control. But he is alive to this day, thankfully. I still can hardly believe that something this traumatic happened in my quiet, safe town. But I am so glad they took that fucker out, and I'm so glad all the officers are still alive today.
There's not a chance in hell I would have got shot. I would have just hauled ass faster than a fucking flash. That's all I'm saying.
I got a report of a missing husband. He told his wife and family of 6 children that he was going to get his tires checked, but never returned. And this was 12 hours ago. They had purchased another house in a neighboring community, and the relationship with the wife was under pressure. So the wife assumed he was staying at the other house. The strange thing about this report, though, was that he emptied his personal bank account into his wife's this morning as well. The wife explained this off by saying that they had recently had a fight about finances, and that he agreed that he was bad with money and that maybe they should just have a joint account that she controls.
No.
On a hunch, I asked his 14-year-old boy if there were any areas in the mountains nearby that his father enjoyed going to, and the son identified a road about 10 miles away. It was nearing midnight, but I decided to drive up to the top of this old and abandoned Forest Service road. As I drove through the snow and started to climb the road, I felt a gut feeling that I would 100% find this guy up there either thinking about suicide or already having committed it. The snow-laid gravel road had some sign of travel, but no real indication of how fresh the vehicle tracks could be. As I reached the top of the road after an hour of travel, I was honestly surprised that I didn't find his black truck. I spent the drive back down thinking about gut feelings and how they're unreliable, but that I somehow felt different about this one. As I traveled up the road, I did notice over a dozen smaller roads branching off, but they weren't mapped. And I had already spent too much time on a single occurrence in a busy city with too few police officers. Nonetheless, I decided to check a single of these secondary roads. And about 3/4 of the way down, I picked a road at random to check. And sure enough, my headlights lit up the back end of a black truck about 100 yards past the first corner. Even if I hadn't memorized the license plate beforehand, I wouldn't have had to run it. It was clearly his. I radioed that I had found the truck, parked my vehicle, and traveled the 20 feet to his truck with my heart beating like I was doing it at a sprint rather than a normal walk. What I found inside was a mess of brains and blood caused by a self-inflicted shotgun wound under the chin.
That's nasty.
I'll save you from the description. There was just something about that gut feeling while traveling this abandoned and quiet mountain road, followed by a sense of being tricked by the gut feeling, then finding out it was true by discovering such a gruesome scene, having to wait 3 hours next to his truck waiting for body removal, and then to end it all by having to go to the family who was expecting good news to deliver to them the worst news possible. That makes me feel incredibly creeped out to this day. Hey everyone, hope you enjoyed the video.
Right, I did.
So I'm sure many of you are confused as to where I've been, and rightfully so. However, I don't think that the end of a video is a good place to even begin explaining, and many people aren't here for that, so here's the plan. After the release of this video, I'm going to try to put 1 or 2 more videos out on time before doing a live stream where I will be transparently addressing a lot of things, explaining where I was and what's happening best I can. That way I can focus on getting the ball rolling on videos again, and afterwards just sit and be open and talk to you guys if I'm able. To make sure that you don't miss the live stream, if you're interested, please press the bell icon near the subscribe button so that you're notified when it happens. That will also notify you instantly every time I upload. If you don't want to do that, I usually notify everyone via Twitter or Snapchat a day or 2 before I do a live stream. If you can, I recommend you following me on social media. That way, if you're wondering where I am or something, you could just check Twitter and be like, oh, hey, he's alive. That's pretty cool. Or maybe you genuinely like me or something, but let's not get carried away. We also joke around sometimes, as you can see by this picture right here. Or on Snapchat, you guys can hear me lose my mind or post incoherent ramblings to my story that I usually regret in the morning. I'm pretty sure someone uploaded a video of me screaming to YouTube. Yeah, here it is. Corpse husband screaming on Snapchat. Wow, bless you guys. Thank you for putting that on the internet for everyone to see forever. Anyways, thanks for watching. I appreciate everyone who's watching this for sticking around, and have an awesome day.
for some reason, when he said, awesome day, I gotta be honest with you, I got creeped the fuck out. My heart dropped a couple of inches. I'm not gonna lie. Like, my heart didn't reach my ass, but it dropped, a little bit, you know. But yeah, like I said before about police officers, like, kudos to the real ones out there. Like, I'm talking like the real police officers. Not no rent-a-cop, not no mall cop, right? Some real legit officers that be putting their lives on the line. Cause I can't do it. I'm too much of a bitch to do anything. Like, like that I think was the last one with the with that guy that was about to reach like the middle school kids. Like, I would have ran. So as soon as I saw something or I felt something was off, I would have just ran, hauled ass, kicked rocks, and never looked back. And then when I get back to the office, they're gonna be like, "The fuck happened to you?" I'd be like, I ran all the way back to the office. So you telling me I got Peanut right here? Pause on that, because he is nowhere near my, just because I said right here, and he's not. He's like, he's right, he's underneath me. Like, I'm gonna stop talking about that. That's weird. I got this. You already know how it goes. I hope y'all ready to go. Fresh out the microwave. I don't know why I thought about that. Buttery, extra buttery. I mean, if you're gonna eat popcorn, you might as well do it right. Right? Taste test. Okay. Alright, now we in business. Let's go.
I live on Vancouver Island on the west coast of Canada.
Right.
In the early 90s, a kid was abducted.
I got Peanut right here. Pause on that, because he is nowhere near my, just because I said right here, and he's not. He's like, he's right, he's underneath me. Like, I'm gonna stop talking about that. That's weird. I got this. You already know how it goes. I hope y'all ready to go. Fresh out the microwave. I don't know why I thought about that. Buttery, extra buttery. I mean, if you're gonna eat popcorn, you might as well do it right. Right? Taste test.